You already know me because we've had an opportunity to meet. Some of you had an opportunity to tune in last time we went live, and I'm so excited to be back. And I had to do this to start it off because some people reminded me that I did not show what shoes I have on. So today's shoes of the day are from my favorite basketball player, LeBron James. Now, don't stone me because I know some of y'all don't like them, but I have my LeBron James shoes on today. But we're very excited to be back here with you on today. What I do want to say to you and let you know is that throughout the course of this conversation, you are welcome to comment with any questions or comments that you have. We certainly desire to address those with you on today. So I want to make this a dialogue. We certainly want to be a resource for you as it relates to financial education, just so that you know that we are your trusted partner for this information. And then also, as I said on the first Facebook Live, I want to make sure that you know that we do encourage transparency from the top. And so me coming on here is to let you know that I'm interested in having dialogue with you. And so let's jump in, because some of you are here because you want to know how to make better decisions to avoid experiencing fraud. And fraud is something that is certainly on the rise. We hear all of these buzzwords about cybersecurity and things of that nature, and it can be scary out there now, making the right decisions with your finances and how you safeguard your information. And so we want to help you out today. I have 3 short points, and then I'd love to answer your questions, or we will get to some questions that we've also prepared for today. But the first thing that I think that we have to focus on, or you should focus on, is just exercising caution. Treating all of your financial information as something that should be protected, that should be guarded. And think about it, like there are certain aspects of us, that we feel uncomfortable just showing to everybody. But for some reason, when it comes to our finances, sometimes we could miss or lose that sense of protection that we should have for our information. So making sure that you exercise caution in all of your handling of your finances, safeguarding your information, your account numbers, your social security number, all of those things that people can get a hold of and try to commit fraud on your accounts or identity theft. Make sure you safeguard those things. And then the second thing to know is that if it seems too good to be true, I'm pretty sure it is. I cannot tell you how many times I've run across people who get that email. We've all gotten that email before that we won the Jamaican lottery, or there's all of this money sitting in Nigeria for us, and all we have to do is send them $1,000 and we're going to get millions, right? We've all heard this before or seen these emails, and believe it or not, some people see these things and believe them. And, if it's too good to be true, it is. First of all, we already know that we didn't apply for the lottery. So think of it from that perspective. But 2, nobody's going to want to give you money and require you to give them money in return. So making sure that we keep that mindset. I cannot tell you how many times we see people get themselves in bad situations simply because of this, not being careful when the situation begins to seem too good to be true. And then the third thing is never give out your information. If you are working with a financial institution such as our credit union, we're never going to call you and ask you for your account number. We're never going to call you and ask you for your card number. We're never going to call you and ask you for your social security number. If we make a call to you, it's because we already know that you're you, and we're calling to engage in whatever business or discussion that we have with you. But we're not going to call asking for your information. So be very careful not to give out your personal information via email, on the phone, be careful online, because those are the things that are used to try to exploit you financially. And we want to make sure that we're doing our part to keep you protected. So remember, I want to go back through this again. We want to exercise caution, make sure that you safeguard all of your information like you guard your own life. We want to make sure that we are aware that if it sounds too good to be true, It probably is. And the final step is, let's be sure to never give out our personal information. And that way we can be more successful in managing fraud. With that said, I do want to entertain any questions or comments that you have. You are free to begin commenting now, your questions that you may have for us, and we certainly want to answer those for you. And while we do that, we'll also take some questions right here in the office.
Well, we have one. What can you do to make it safer to withdraw your money from an ATM?
Well, when you are looking at withdrawing money from an ATM, a few things that you could do to maintain your safety. Look for opportunities to remain in your car. You know, I know that sometimes there are ATMs that are attached to a building that's not a drive-through. If you're going to use those ATMs, we suggest that you don't do that at nighttime. So if you are using an ATM at nighttime, make sure it's one that you can remain in your car as you are transacting business. Then also make sure that you're keeping your PIN number covered as well. So be careful with how you're handling your PIN number, because if you are in a situation where somebody's watching or someone's looking, it could be very easy for them to do something with your finances if they have access to your card number and your PIN number. And then also making sure that you stay away from ATMs close to the interstate maybe, because those seem to be the ATMs that frequently have skimmers on them, just because it's easy for that person to come back, retract their skimmer, and get away really quickly. And so considering those steps would be vital for you, just so you make sure that you safeguard your card and your account information.
And actually, we have two questions about bank statements.
Yeah.
One is it better to get e-statements or paper statements? And the other question is, should you shred your statements?
That's a good question. So from what we've seen, fraud occurs more in the mail. So, you know, somebody getting access to your mailbox is a higher probability, you know, than them getting access to your protected e-statement, which you get behind your online banking. You know, so if you've safeguarded your online banking, that e-statement is behind that. It requires a certain amount of identification, and so it's more secure. With your mail, it's just exposed to whoever gets to the mailbox first. You know, and so getting that e-statement can be more beneficial. And then, you know, being careful with how you keep them, how long you keep them. You know, we advise that you consider maybe keeping them up to 3 years if you just want to have them to go back and reference. There are instances that you need your bank statements, your credit union statements with us. So you may want to keep those for a few years, up to 3 years. But make sure that if you're going to keep them on hand, that you have that information protected. Don't just have it, you know, laying around the house or in a drawer that's not locked. You know, consider where you're keeping that information and think of it as, you know, what would happen if somebody broke into your home? What is it? How easy would it be for them to access that information, and make sure that you have the safeguards in place to try to prevent that? So,
another question. Right here in Lake Charles, people have been getting fake calls from IRS.
yes.
How do you protect yourself there?
Oh, I say this again. It kind of goes back to a point that I said earlier. Make sure that you never give out information. You know, if the IRS is calling you, let me tell you, they already know every single thing they need to know about you. They probably know how many hairs you have on your head. You know, so they don't need you to give them information. And I think that if you keep that principle in place, then you'll protect yourself. Sometimes saying, "Well, I'm going to hang up and call you right back." Even just that short decision can cause you to eliminate or put off some fraud opportunity that may exist, because most times when you call that number back, you can't access that person. They're using these services where they can call from all of these fictitious numbers, and so they don't want you to get off that phone and say that because they know that they're trying to do something fraudulent. Or, you know, if you just press the issue a little bit further about their supervisor or their manager, or asking questions that you know will help you to identify that fraud is taking place, if you do that, then you can literally, I've seen people cause those phone calls to end very abruptly because those individuals don't want to be caught. So if they feel like you're onto them, then they're going to get off the phone. Making sure you don't give out your information is the most important thing. That's literally what they're looking for. So if they can't get that, then they'll leave you alone. Any other questions?
A lot of people shop online now. Is that safe to use your credit card online?
Online can be safe, but it's that you have to be careful with how you shop online. So making sure that you're going to secure websites. I would be looking for the HTTPS every time you're shopping. When I get to checkout, I'm always looking for that S, because I want to know that this organization has taken the necessary steps to make sure that I'm on a secure site while I'm transacting business, and then still being careful as you're doing so. I've seen people even get to the point now that with online shopping, they're using gift cards more. They'll go buy a gift card and use that online just as an extra step of precaution. You don't have to do that, but if you're truly concerned about your information being leaked or there being a breach, then that is an option for you. But nonetheless, make sure that you are going to trusted websites with trusted retailers, and making sure that as you are engaging in the checkout process and you're about to enter your card information, be sure that you see that HTTPS and that it is secure, and that will put you in the best position to avoid fraud.
And one viewer had a suspicious transaction on her credit card bill. What should you do about that?
Well, if you see a suspicious transaction on your statement, on your bill, then the first thing you should do is contact us. You contact your financial institution, make us aware of the transaction, and then there will be a dispute process that we'll go through to dispute that transaction. And almost always we're able to give you your money back. Very seldomly, do we have someone who comes with a transaction and then they actually did do it, so sometimes, it might be that you wasn't aware that a spouse used your card. But if it's a transaction that you truly did not do, or if you just don't recognize it, come to us. We will go through the dispute process and we will get you your money back. You just have to make sure that we are aware. And you need to do that within 60 days of your statement. That's why you have 60 days to dispute activity on your account. Making sure that you recognize these things within a timely manner is very important. Is that a question?
Is it safe to use sites like Venmo, Google Pay, and Square to send person-to-person payments?
Those sites, I will say, a lot of them have taken the necessary steps to make sure they secure their sites. And I myself use Google Pay, so I will say, or Google Wallet. So I will say that I believe that they've taken the steps to be secure. I don't think that anything is 100% foolproof, so I think that we are always accepting a certain amount of risk when we do utilize those systems for payments. But I will say, if you're going to do that, making sure that you use a trusted and reputable brand, making sure that they still have those security measures in place that we spoke about earlier. But from my experiences, those organizations have worked to be more safe and more secure with your financial information. I just can't tell you that they're 100% foolproof because it could happen still. Cybersecurity is very tricky, and the criminals are getting smarter and smarter and smarter. Man, almost every time we discover a new way to combat this issue and to be more successful, the criminal is still thinking of the next way to do the wrong thing, so it's something that we take a risk on, but something we should be careful with.
Well, along that line, we hear about viruses and spyware and ransomware, all this bad stuff that can get on your computer.
Yes.
How do you protect yourself?
Well, making sure that you have some level of virus protection on your PC is very important. You don't want to have your computer unprotected because when you do leave a higher room for threat on your computer. And so you want to make sure that you have that virus protection. You want to make it as safe as it can possibly be. And even with that, we talk about not giving out information. One of the newest ways that I'm seeing fraud take place is that someone will call you and tell you that they see that your computer has these viruses, and then they'll ask you to remote in on your computer. And people are falling for that because it's, they make sure that they send you a virus first. That's what they do. And they send enough for you to be cautious, because they can say, oh, you're probably noticing that your computer is a little slower now and this and that. And they'll seem like they really want to help you, but then they ask to remote into your computer, and they're literally looking for ways to lift your personal information. So please don't do that. That's a new type of fraud that we're seeing that is happening even more so now, and people are falling for it. So be very careful with that. We have another question?
We have a question about chip cards on credit cards and debit cards. Will Southwest Louisiana Credit Union have chips in their cards?
Yes, so we've already launched that with our credit cards, and we've been doing them as they expire. So when you receive your new credit card, you're getting a card that has a chip in it. We're actually about to do that with our debit cards across the board. We will do a mass reissue of those cards. So each and every one of our members who have a debit card with us will be getting a new debit card at some point in this year, and it will have a chip in it. Yes, we are doing that. Thanks for that question. Any other questions? No? Well, I thank you all so much for tuning in today. As we said, we want to make sure that you understand, number one, that we encourage transparency from the top. Anytime that you want to speak to me, you can. I promise I'm not going to deny you. As a CEO, I want to be open to hearing from you. We are here to serve you, our member owners. We also want you to know that we are your resource for financial information. Whenever you have a question or a concern about your finances, think of us first. We have numerous financial counselors on our staff that are certified and can help you with your finances. And so be sure to reach out to us. We want to be there for you with any need that you have. Southwest is in your corner. So please reach out to us. We'll be doing this again soon. I hope you all would join back in, and I hope you enjoyed this today. Thank you.